There is also some breaking news coming out of the state of Florida regarding coronavirus. Moments ago, Miami Beach declaring a state of emergency and instituted a curfew for some of the busiest areas. Here's what Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber had to say.
Essentially be an 8 p.m. curfew in the entertainment district and closure of eastbound traffic on causeways to only residents and hotel guests beginning at 8 p.m. Beginning at about 9 p.m. These measures will be in effect for 72 hours.
All right, I want to bring in MSNBC's Corey Coffin in Miami Beach, who was taking a listen to that press conference. Also, another hotbed of spring break activity is Chief Douglas Hudson. He works out of the Galveston County Sheriff's Office. Corey, I do want to start with you because we just heard from the mayor of Miami Beach talking about some of those curfews put in place. How do they plan on instituting these curfews, and paint the picture as to how the mayor sees the situation there right now?
Yeah, they had to declare a state of emergency here in the city of Miami Beach, Yasmin, in order to enact these fairly extreme measures. And here's what they said about the curfews. The 8 p.m. curfew for the main Art Deco district, or the main party district, if you will, of South Beach, which is behind us, it'll have to be closures of the actual street, closures of the business and the businesses that are operating on the street, such as cafes. People will start to have to clear out of those by 7 p.m. in order to get the businesses closed by 8 p.m. But it means that people who are already staying in hotels here can continue to stay. They just are advised to stay within their hotel. And I don't even know if I should use the word advised, because at this point it is law here in Miami Beach. So they will have to stay within the confines of their hotel grounds. As we know, this is going to last for the next 72 hours. And of course, that 9 p.m. curfew for the causeways, the closure for the causeways, I should say, you'll still have the opening of local traffic being able to get in. It's just for people who do not have hotel reservations down here, and people who do not live down here or have any business down here. And when it comes to what the mayor said about why he felt that the need to institute such extreme measures, listen to what he said about how high the stakes are right now.
Right now, it has become too challenging in the entertainment district, the Art Deco cultural district, whatever you call it, to continue in that way. Too many people are coming here right now, and too many people are coming here with bad intentions. At the end of the day, all the policing in the world isn't going to stop something terrible from happening if it's going to happen. Our city right now in this area has become a tinder, and we cannot have a policy of simply hoping that it's not lit.
All right, so we mentioned that reevaluation after 72 hours, Yasmin, but at least one city official we know of is recommending those closures remain in place until April 12th.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel.
Okay, so basically, we have all this going on, and people, we have a lot of things. We have COVID, and the point of the matter is, you shouldn't be having all these people out and about, especially with the country not really back in shape. And the fact that we also have a food shortage. Nobody talks about that. I don't know why. They don't talk about the fact that we have a food shortage. Okay. Why that's never talked about, I don't know. I mean, we all need to eat, if we want to survive, right? And for some reason, that's never talked about that. Miami Beach declares state of emergency to reduce spring break crowds. The city of Miami is entering the week with an evening curfew and other restrictions aimed at curbing nightly raucous partying that locals officials feared would lead to escalating violence and impede efforts to drive down coronavirus cases, COVID-19. Visitors from around the world beyond the usual spring break college crowd had descended on the well-known party location in recent weeks, officials said during a special commission meeting held Sunday to discuss the issue. Interim city manager Raul Aguilar declared a state of emergency in the city on Saturday, Police have made more than 1,000 arrests since February 3rd, officials have said Sunday, including more than 50 over the weekend. More than 85 firearms have been seized in the arrests, a number the Miami Beach Police Chief Richard Clements called alarming at Sunday's meeting. The tourists are coming to the city to engage in lawlessness and anything goes party attitude, Mr. Aguilar said at the meeting. After seeing thousands after gathering Friday in a scene he described as looking like a rock concert, Mr. Aguilar on Saturday imposed a mandatory 8 p.m. curfew in an area of the city declared a high-impact zone. The city also shut down overnight access to some causeways that led to the barrier island. Known for its stylish hotels and bustling nightlife, Mr. Aguilar also closed Ocean Drive, the city's main strip, to vehicular and pedestrian traffic except for residents, hotel guests, and employees. Sidewalk cafe operations in the zone also were suspended, and restaurants were restricted to takeout only after 8 p.m., according to the emergency order. Miami officials had embraced for an influx of spring breakers and implemented increased restrictions from February 22nd to April 12th, but the measure didn't stop tourists from flooding in and amassing at large parties. On Twitter, Facebook, Miami police shared photos of themselves enforcing the orders. Still, other social media users on Saturday night and Sunday morning posted photos of immense crowds continuing to party and running from police. Police Chief Clements said during Sunday's meeting that several stampedes have erupted, one caused by someone firing a gun into the air for no reason other than to fire it. Less than a half of the arrests have been Florida residents, he said. Miami City commissioners on Sunday debated for hours how to rein in such behavior going forward, with some stressing that visitors to the area were still welcome and that the city shouldn't portray itself as completely shutting down. Florida is one of the earliest states to reopen after COVID-19 pandemic shut down. Much of the U.S. restaurants were permitted to return to full occupancy in September, but Miami has grappled with high COVID-19 cases and the effects of tourism. As for this, Miami-Dade County had the second highest number of COVID-19 cases per capita in Florida, with 16,000 new cases over the past 14 days in a total population of 2.7 million. The county has logged over 5,700 deaths since the pandemic began. It certainly has felt like our city has been a tinder over the last few weeks, Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gilbert said at the emergency meeting center Sunday, noting that the city wanted to impose the curfew before any serious violence happened. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has spoken out against the widespread shutdowns that took place in many states, saying the lockdowns failed to stop the virus but caused societal damage. The state reopened schools in August, one of the earliest to do so. Since then, Florida schools have avoided major COVID-19 outbreaks and recorded case rates lower than in the wider community. Some teacher unions opposed the reopening and unsuccessfully sued to block the move. One union, the Florida Education Association, has tracked 41 working school employees who have died of COVID-19 since summer, and 9 school-age children have died from the virus over the course of the pandemic. Wow. My thing is like there should, you can't. Oh boy. Florida, spring break should have been shut down. That's the one thing that should have been done. That should have been shut down. Okay, you should have just had a no, we're not having spring break this year. Certain things have to be, just put out there. Sad to say that we can't have spring break right now. Okay, the country has to get back in order. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen anytime soon. And it's just, for some reason, people desperately, they want to go back to normal. But it's not going to happen. I hate to bring it to that point, but it's not the way that, not to the way we knew it. It's just it's not going to happen. It's just not. And people have to get used. The people don't want to hear it, but that's what's going to happen. And here's something to people are not going to like the truth, but sometimes the truth, it's not always meant to be comfortable. but it's meant to wake you back into reality. Okay, page is right here, so I'm going to read it right now. Call for action to avert famine in 2021. Okay, the number of people experiencing acute food insecurity has remained persistently above 100 million over the last 4 years. In 2019, the figures rose sharply to 135 million across 58 countries, driven by the conflict, climate extremes, and economic turbulence. The number has significantly increased, including due to the compounding effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. While the next global report on food crisis will be launched in April 2021 by the Global Network Against Food Crisis, a dramatic increase in the numbers of people acute food insecurity is evident through new integrated food security phase classification IPC analysis or similar analytic process in countries where the IPC category harmonies analysis have not been undertaken, with 174 million people in IPC phase 3 or worse in 58 countries covered. Of absolute urgent and imminent concern today are more than 34 million people in IPC phase 4 across the world who already face emergency levels of acute food insecurity, are highly vulnerable to face famine or famine-like conditions without urgent, immediate, life-saving action. The situation requires urgent action at a scale. By the time the famine is declared, many lives will already be lost. The wide impact on child development, poverty, and people's lives will endure for years to come, and the stripping of productive livelihood assets will increase dependence on external assistance. Within the call for action, FAO, FWP are seeking USD 5.5 billion to swiftly scale up actions to avert famine through a combination of humanitarian food assistance, cash, and emergency livelihoods and interventions. This is what's going on right now. Okay. We could experience a famine right here. Call to action. All right. This is what's going on. Okay. And people, why wasn't they told that they couldn't have spring break? Why wasn't spring break shut down? Okay. That's what I want to know. All right. Here's another article I'm going to put up. Hold on a minute. Okay, it's there. All right. Put this up right now. The impact of coronavirus and on food insecurity. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, Feeding America has been projecting how food insecurity may be changing, and any new revised analysis will be added as we complete them. So check back then. Okay. The impact of the coronavirus on food insecurity in 2020 and 2021. This brief includes updated 2020 projections and new 2021 projections at the national level for the overall population and for children. In addition, for the first time, we include projections by race for Black and white individuals, by geography, rural and urban, and for very low food security. Updated projections at the local level are forthcoming. Okay. Let's take a look. Now, let me see if it's showing up here. Okay. Stop the screen. Share the screen. Let's go. All right. Let's see here. Okay, it's not showing. Let me fix this real quick. Okay, here we are. The impact of the coronavirus on food insecurity. Introduction. All right. In the early 2020, the novel coronavirus COVID-19 began to spread across the United States, and one of the results was an economic recession that ended years of declining rates of food insecurity. The lack of access to sufficient food because of limited financial resources. The brief provides a snapshot of food insecurity at the national level leading up to the COVID-19 pandemic, what transpired in the first year of the pandemic, and what may happen in the next year and beyond. Key findings. 1. Feeding America projects that 42 million people, 1 in 8, including 13 million children, 1 in 6, may experience food insecurity in 2021. 2. This is a slight improvement from our updated 2020 projections, 45 million people, 15 million children. 3. Many people who have been most impacted by the pandemic were food insecure or at risk of food insecurity before COVID-19 and are facing greater hardship since COVID-19. 4. Significant racial disparities in food insecurity, which existed before COVID-19, remain in the wake of the pandemic. Feeding America projects that 21% of Black individuals, 1 in 5, may experience food insecurity in 2021, compared to 11% of white individuals, 1 in 9. 5. It will take time for the food insecurity levels to recover. In 2019, the overall food insecurity rate was the lowest had been in more than 20 years, and 1 in 9 individuals, 10.9%, and 1 in 7 children, 14.6%, lived in a insecure household. Yet, more than 35 million people overall, including nearly 11 million children, were food insecure. 2 factors that influence food insecurity rates include unemployment and poverty, which were both at the recent low heading in the pandemic. The overall unemployment rate was 3.7% at the end of 2019, and the overall poverty rate was 10.5%. However, underlying these national figures, significant disparities existed. 1 in 12 white, non-Hispanic individuals, 8.1%, lived in a food insecure household, compared to 1.1 in 6 Latino individuals, 15.8%, 1 in 5 Black, non-Hispanic individuals, 19.3%, and 1 in 4 Native American individuals, 23.5%. Food insecurity is experienced in greater proportion by the racial and ethnic groups due to the number of factors, a key one being structural racism and discrimination. These disparities are also apparent in the underlying factors that contribute to food insecurity. While overall poverty rate in 2019 was 10.5%, poverty among white individuals was 9.1% compared to 18.8% for Black individuals and 15.7% for Latino individuals. More research is needed to untangle the complex relationship between systematic racism and food insecurity. Okay. Food insecurity in March 2020. All this right here, all right, and we have people having spring break. We have a food shortage. And people want to go party. And there's no real regulation to like say, no, we're not having spring break right now. We are not doing this right now. Okay. We have things to take care of. Okay. We have to take care of, the food. We have to take care of the economy. But I think this is all by design, really. I really do. On March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization declared the spread of COVID-19 a global pandemic. In the days and weeks that followed, cities and states across the U.S. issued stay-at-home mandates and ordered the closure of non-essential businesses in an effort to curb the transmission of the virus. The result of the COVID-19 pandemic was the first economic recession in the United States since the Great Recession of 2007. Within weeks, tens of millions of people lost jobs or saw declines in hours worked. For the week ending in March 28, 2020, the number of initial claims for unemployment insurance was nearly 7 million, a record high. The official unemployment rate for April rose to 14.7%, for the largest monthly increase and the highest rate since 1948, when such data was first collected. Before the state of the pandemic, the overall food insecurity rate had reached its lowest point since it began to be measured in the 1990s, but those improvements were being impeded by the pandemic. To understand how COVID-19 has impacted the need for food in the United States, Feeding America, in partnership with Dr. Craig Gunderson, have leveraged our annual the meal map (MMG) study, the source for local level estimates of food insecurity. The same model that is used to estimate local food insecurity can also predict food insecurity using projected changes to variables in the model. To predict changes in food insecurity as a result of COVID-19, we have used projected changes to unemployment and poverty, two variables that have a statistically significant and substantial effect on the food insecurity estimates and are likely to be most directly affected by COVID-19. Feeding America first released food insecurity projections for 2020 in the spring of 2020 and then released updated projections in October 2020 as it became evident that economic conditions would be more positive than experts originally predicted. Feeding America estimates that 45 million people, 1 in 7, including 15 million children, 1 in 5, have experienced food insecurity in 2020. Now we're going to get to food insecurity in 2021. Feeding America projects that 42 million people, 1 in 8, including 13 million children, 1 in 6, may experience food insecurity in 2021. This reflects an improvement relative to our updated 2020 projections, which can be attributed to the economic situation. Actual unemployment and estimated poverty levels have been lower than many experts originally predicted, as well the federal response, which has played an important role in mitigating the crisis. While the improvements are good news, food insecurity levels that are projecting are still elevated compared to before COVID-19. Further, the pandemic and economic crisis have evenly experienced across the U.S. population. Many people who have been most impacted were food insecure or at risk of food insecurity before COVID and are facing greater hardships since COVID. Food insecurity in 2021. Food insecurity projections by race. As mentioned on page 2, significant racial disparities in food insecurity existed before COVID, and these have not diminished. The economic recovery is likely to be slowly for communities of color overall and for Black communities in particular. For the first, Feeding America has projected how food insecurity levels may differ by race for Black individuals and white individuals. Feeding America projects that 21.6 of Black individuals, 1 in 5, may have experienced food insecurity in 2021 compared to 12.3% of white individuals, 1 in 8. For 21, our projections for Black individuals are largely unchanged, 21.3%, 1 in 5, but significantly improved for white individuals, 11.1%, and 1 in 9. And in 2019, food insecurity among Black and white individuals was 19.3% and 19.6%, respectively. There's the chart right here, food insecurity among Black and white individuals. Here it is. See right there. Food insecurity in 2021. Projections are very low food security. Very low food security is the more severe range of food insecurity that involves reduced food intake and disrupted eating patterns. Like overall food insecurity and prevalence of very low food security has likely this is just, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't. Has likely risen since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Feeding America projects that 17 million people, 5.1%, may have experienced very low food security in 2020, and 15 million people, 4.6%, may experience in 2021. Food insecurity projections by geography. Feeding America projects that food insecurity among individuals living in rural communities may have been 14.4% in 2020 and may be 13.3% in 2021 compared to 12.5% in 2019. Among the individuals living in urban communities, Feeding America projects that 13.1% may have experienced food insecurity in 2020 and 12.1% may experience food insecurity in 2021 compared to 10.6% in 2019. This is all I'm going to read for now. feedingamerica.org. You could find the information there. And this is it, people. I mean, this is all this is going on, and you have spring break. Okay. But I think it's just like with Ron DeSantis opening up that part of Florida, He should have had some restrictions of like, we're opening up the country, but we're not having spring break. We're not having such and such until the country gets back in order. But like I said, I think this is all by design. Have people in such a frenzy that they don't care. They're going to just lose their minds and party till they can't help themselves anymore. But, these people could think for themselves and know what they should be doing and what they should not be doing. What's up, Chaos Rain? How's everything? Everything good? But this is what I have for now. All right. So later. You guys know what to do. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm also on Free Speech Avenger. I'm on Black Junction TV. And that's about it. Later.